Hi everyone, we're just going to start our March 2021 live Facebook Q&A. We're just getting started, so give us a few minutes to get into the chat, get everything loaded, and we'll start here. Let's see. Alright, we should be live here. Hopefully everything's loading correctly. So thanks to those of you who are joining us. This is our March 2021 live Facebook Q&A. As you know, we do a Q&A once a month. We answer your questions. We cover some topics, and we had actually a lot of people write in questions this time, which kind of surprised me because usually we get, 6 or 7 people that write in a couple questions. We actually had like 10 people write questions in, which is great, meaning they want to learn. But we have a lot to cover, and I'll try to make this about an hour, give or take. So, because quite frankly, Hell's Kitchen comes on at 8 o'clock, and I want to watch it. So, thanks everyone for joining us. Hi everybody in the chat. The chat is loading. So if you guys have any questions in the chat, you can ask them. I'll try to catch them as quickly as I can, and we'll cover a bunch of topics today. So I had like a lot of questions people have asked, so we're going to get started. Ann says hello. I want to thank you guys for being part of the page and for joining us. I want to cover a couple things real quick. As you know, our YouTube channel, Scamming Scammers, after I think 12, 13 tries, we got monetized finally. So we are putting a little ads here and there on our YouTube channel. It drives a little bit of revenue for us, but we've had some people that have complained they don't like the ads on our channel. We don't have a control over how many ads are put on. We just signed up for the program. It's a partner program with YouTube, and then people are complaining about us doing it. So, we're just trying to, get monetized, get noticed, and reach more people. So if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, it's Scamming Scammers. There is a couple ads here and there on all the videos. But it is a way for us to get seen a little bit more and get our channel out there. So it's one of the reasons why we did it. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me tonight. And is in the chat doing the moderations. But we're going to get started. And again, if you have any questions, write them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. There's a couple people I haven't been able to reach out to that wanted to do video chat with me. Inbox me after, and I will try to do a video chat with you. I know I've fallen behind on a few things. Our page, unfortunately, has been super, super busy lately. We've had hundreds of people come to our inbox every day. I mean, it's almost too much to keep up with. So just keep in mind that we will get back to you as soon as we can. Judy, the audio is going in and out. I hope you guys can hear me okay. It shows everything is connected okay. So let me know. If not, I'll try to adjust it somehow. All right, so we had first question. Somebody asked us in the chat. It was, can one scammer use many accounts and profiles? And that's a great question, and the answer to that is yes. A scammer can have many accounts, many fake profiles, and the truth is most scammers do have many accounts and many fake profiles. It's not uncommon for a scammer on Facebook or Instagram to have 4, 5, 6, even 10 profiles with various names, various stories, various stolen photos. So that happens quite often. And also, it's not uncommon for a scammer to have 4, 5, 6, or 7 phone numbers. They get free voicemail numbers from Google Voice. They get numbers from Text Now. They log into people's accounts and get Google Voice numbers. It happens a lot. So if you're talking to somebody online and they might have 2 or 3 or 4 profiles. It's quite easy. There's no limit to how many profiles a person can make on the internet. I mean, sometimes it'll vary, but most scammers do have several fake profiles. The sound is low. I don't know. I've got the audio up super loud. I'm just gonna double check. It says it's working. So if it cuts out a lot, I'll restart and come back. But hopefully it'll be okay. Rena, you are on the same time Joe Biden return is going. I choose you. Well, thank you. I choose me too. Appreciate it. Is there any police department that focus on this kind of crime? It happens overseas. It seems quite hard to control. You turn up your computer. You know what? It's tough. And here's the thing. We have victims come to us all the time and say, hey, I called my local police. They won't do nothing. The scammer is in a place like Nigeria or Ghana. and the police don't do anything. The FBI doesn't do anything. Unfortunately, what it comes down to is your local police, like let's say you live like where I'm at in Oregon, your local police are not going to do that. They're not going to file. I mean, they might file a report, but they can't go to Ghana and arrest your scammer. The FBI, they'll file your complaint at ic3.gov. They'll put it in their statistics, but that's pretty much how it ends. They just put it in there and that's it. There's no specific, you know. Nigeria has the EFCC. They do arrest some scammers, but like the EFCC says, we only have so many officers and we have 100 million scammers. We don't have a way to get them all. So it comes down to it. You know, if you are scammed, file a police report, file with IC3. If your scammer was from Nigeria, file with the Nigerian EFCC. It doesn't hurt to file reports, but don't expect a whole lot to be done. And that's kind of the unfortunate side of it. And that's why scammers do it. They know they can get away with it. They know that there's nothing that law enforcement is going to do on your end. So there's no real specific, fraud division that goes after the scammers and arrests them at all. And if there's a few fake agencies online that say they can, but they're just scammers. Barbie asked, what made start doing scammers? Made you start doing scammers? So Anne and myself, okay, it started with Anne. She was online. She was a victim of a romance scam. She did not send money, but she was emotionally scammed. She decided to make this page, and the original page name was Scamming Scammers. And, you know, the page then had 40,000 fans. We were pretty popular, and Facebook shut us down. She decided to make the page to educate people, to teach people how to stay safe and not to become a victim like she was, because emotionally it's very damaging to, be the victim of a romance scam, and let alone be the victim of a financial romance scam. So she made the page, and then I came along in 2014 and joined her, and the rest is kind of history. I did a little bit of, scam baiting and different types of online um, adminning and things like that. So I had a little bit of knowledge about doing some of the technical stuff, and she knew a ton about romance scams, so we teamed up. So that's kind of what made us do it. We love to help people. We hate to see people become victims. It's kind of where it started. And in our notes section, you can actually read our story as well of how it started. So, we have a couple questions written. I'm trying to catch everyone's in the chat. Ever notice many Bangladesh scammers have exactly 12 MD friends? MD it's interesting. There's a lot of fake profiles that have MD on it. MD in a lot of countries like Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, the MD is short for Muhammad, and that's how they abbreviate it. And I was told that by a fellow who was from Pakistan, and he let me know that's why you see MD. It's short for Muhammad. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But, if you're talking to a man online whose name is Joe Smith and all his friends are MD, and his URL is MD something, then you kind of know you're talking to a scammer from the Middle East or from India or wherever. Thank you for the kind comments. Thanks for the background. This was actually sent to us by a page friend. So I'm trying to catch all your questions. They're going pretty quickly. In Brazil, it's considered a crime. We call love swindler, but the victims felt embarrassed to report. It happens a lot. Like when people are scammed, they are embarrassed. They don't want to report. They don't want to talk about it, and that's unfortunate. There's a stigma and a taboo that comes around being the victim of a romance scam. It's a shameful thing, and they don't want to report it. But the problem is that if people don't report it, then it doesn't get talked about and it doesn't get normalized. And so people do need to report these type of scams. They should, no matter what. So just, if you are a victim, there's no shame in that. Second question somebody asked us tonight was, why do scammers use Dr. Fernando Pinto pictures all the time? I see Dr. Pinto in my nightmares. So it's true. Dr. Pinto is one of the most popular doctors whose photos are stolen. Usually how it works, there's a few things that are going on. So a photo of a particular person becomes popular. Many years ago, there was a popular soldier named Jeffrey Miller, and his photos were used. Hugh Hubertus, his photos were used constantly on fake profiles. All you would see was Hugh Hubertus and Jeffrey Miller. So with that, everything comes around in a cycle. Everything changes. And so Dr. Pinto's photos are one of the most popular ones used by scammers now, because one of the main reasons, and it's really unfortunate, is Dr. Pinto has an Instagram. He has a real Instagram account. He has, he's on all these websites and things. He has lots of photos. And so scammers will go for someone who has tons of photos. And so Dr. Pinto probably has 1,000 photos of himself doing different things. There's photos of Dr. Pinto holding some bananas. There's photos of him eating. There's photos of him playing tennis. He posts so many photos of himself that scammers are able to use them and successfully scam with them because of that. I think his photos are just popular right now. It's like with anything, with music. There's a band that's popular for a long time, and then they go out, and there's another band. It's the same thing with stolen photos. Next year it might not be Dr. Pinto. It might be some other doctor or some other person whose photos are very popular. So it all depends. Right now he's just like the hot guy, the hot it guy for 2020, 2021. His photos are being used a lot. And keep in mind, the real man is not online talking to women. He has an Instagram. He does a lot of health posts. He does a lot of videos. He's very proactive in the community, but he's not talking to people online. And he's warned people, if someone's using my photos, it's not me. I don't need your money. I don't need iTunes. I'm not going to come and see you. So, unfortunately, they just, they love his photos right now. Ask me next year, it might be a totally different situation. So, hi, everyone's coming to the chat. Thanks for all the nice words and everything. Anne's doing really good. She's, hanging in there. She's in the chat right now moderating for me, and we're working on some new stuff, some new videos, and just trying to get things out. For those of you asking about my mom, I saw a couple comments. It's not a good situation right now, and it's very unfortunate. She's not well. I don't want to go into a lot of details of it because I don't want to bring down the whole situation of this Q&A, but I'll just put it this way. I appreciate your thoughts and prayers, and they're definitely needed. So thanks for those who have asked and things like that, and I appreciate all your kind words and things. Just know that it's just not a good situation right now, and we're just kind of living one day at a time, and that's all any of us can really do nowadays. So thank you for asking, though. I appreciate it. Next question someone asked was, what is the reason some scammers will use a Photoshop pic but not the real pic? And many of them are so bad. So it's kind of weird. Like, some scammers will just use a stolen photo that looks normal. And that's, we go, oh, that's Dr. Pinto. Some scammers will actually take, like, the body of one man and then Photoshop another man's head on top of that body. And it just looks absolutely ridiculous. A couple reasons for it. It could be an inexperienced scammer. Could be a scammer that is saying he's working on an oil rig, but he's using photos of a man that is a doctor. So he'll take that head, copy and paste it, put it on an oil rig worker's body, and make it look, try to look real. It's common. They don't think it looks bad, but it looks horrible. It's just a way for them to try and make their fake profile look real. So let's say a photo of Dr. Pinto's being used, but the scammer is saying he works on an oil rig. So he'll take Dr. Pinto's head, cut it out, put it on an oil rig worker's body. That's one of the main reasons they do it. Another reason is sometimes photoshopped photos can't be photo searched. So if you're taking someone else's body, someone else's head in a background, putting it on, and it comes out as, nothing comes in photo search most times. So that's another reason why they do it. It's stupid, and some of them are really good at Photoshop, but a large majority of them are very bad at Photoshop. And so their heads will be super tiny, or they'll be really misshapen, and it's great. It's great. It's great when they Photoshop them. I wish more of them would Photoshop heads because it amuses Anna and myself to no end, honestly. Next question we have, money drop. I'll have to see what money drop is. I think it's like a kind of like Cash App, as far as I know. I'll have to look that one up. That's a good question. That one I don't know the answer to, but I think it's like a Cash App type of thing. FBI and postal inspectors say they are so backlogged with this type of romance scams. They are. And Bitcoin is what they're using more now than ever. The post office, especially in America, is just so messed up right now. They can't even deliver mail correctly sometimes. They're just so short-staffed. They're having so many financial issues that, scammers and package scams and that kind of thing is just on the back burner, if they'll even go after it at some point. So one question was asked by Page Regular is, how do Google text scams work? So there's several different kinds, and one of the most popular type of Google text scam is you will get a notification from Google to your phone with a code. And what happens is a scammer will send a code to your phone and ask you for that code. And one of two things will happen. It's either a scammer who has your email address and is trying to get into your email, so they're sending a code to your phone saying they can't get in. And so if you give them that code, they can gain access to your Gmail. They can get in there, change the password, lock you out, get into your Facebook. They can do all kinds of things. Another way they do it is they'll use your phone number to try and register a Gmail account. And once you give them that code, it verifies that account for them. That allows them to open a Google Voice number. It allows them access to a lot of things. So the bottom line is if someone sends a code to your phone, and it's usually a 5 or 6 digit code, numerical code, um, and you're talking to somebody online and they say, I just sent a code to your phone. Could you get it for me? Just block the person. Don't give them the code because they're either trying to, one, access your Gmail account, or they're trying to make an account or a profile online and use your phone number to verify it. Because Facebook now sometimes asks for a phone number to verify an account. And they can't use a free voicemail number. They have to use a mobile phone or a landline phone. And so they'll oftentimes have a code sent to you, a victim's phone. So at the end of the day, don't give a code out to anybody. And that's how one of the Google scams work. So just anytime someone sends you a code, just block the person, throw the code away. So this was kind of an interesting question somebody asked. With the Suez Canal currently blocked, and if you haven't seen the news, there's a huge cargo ship blocking this canal. Will we see a new form of scam development in this situation? So the Suez Canal is in Egypt. It's a port of entry for cargo ships. There's a big ship, like a massive tanker ship or cargo ship, blocking the canal. It can lead to scams because scammers watch the news. Scammers know you got your stimulus checks. Scammers know, what's going on in the world. So yes, they could use that as an excuse. They could say that they could make a ship captain profile and say, dear, I'm stuck in this canal and I need your money and I need your help. So yes, it is prevalent. Anytime there's a disaster, an earthquake, fire, flood, tornado, hurricane, canal is blocked. There's a spat between countries. There's a chance that the army might go to this certain country. Scammers know this, and they will go after that and create a story from what's really happening on the news. We saw this last year when there was a little thing going with North Korea, and now again this year with North Korea and their missiles and all that stuff. Scammers will take advantage of that, and they will use it to make a fake soldier profile and say, "Oh, I have to go to North Korea, dear, for peacekeeping." So it's common. It does happen. Um, it all comes down to if someone's asking you for money, for gift cards, your bank info, needs you to accept money, it's a scam no matter what the story is. Um, yeah, send us a PM and we'll answer you as soon as this is over. If you have any questions or if I miss your question, Ann is moderating too, but it's hard to catch everybody's questions. So let's try that. Next question asked was, with the current crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border, could there be an increase of charity scams? Yep. Same thing happened a few years ago, I think it was 2014 with Ebola. Ebola was very prevalent in West Africa, and there was a lot of World Health Organization people there, and scammers took advantage of that. So with the current crisis in the U.S. at the Mexico border, with a lot of immigrants coming, a lot of people being detained and things like that, scammers will use that. They'll say that they're an orphanage doing a charity. They'll say that they're peacekeeping on the border, and they'll come up with all kinds of stuff. So at the end of the day, please do not send money to any charity unless you Google that charity yourself. You double check it. You check the phone number yourself. Don't trust a number a scammer gives you or a website. And if you want to donate to a charity, do a legit charity. Red Cross, Wounded Warriors. Do a legit group, a company that actually you know. Don't believe someone online that asks you for money like that, because it's typically a scam, and a lot of good scammers create fake charities online, fake orphanages, and people send money. So the World Wide Web is connecting people with different cultures. Is it getting worse and worse? Is it the beginning of a new era of crimes? I don't know if it's the beginning of a new era, but it's a continuation of scams. I mean, scams like Nigerians and Ghanaians who first started scamming in the 70s did it with a pen pal scam. They would write to people overseas and say, would you like to invest in this? Or they just, ask for money or whatever. And they started those scams. And in the 90s, like I was an admin in the 90s for Talk City and some of those IRC chats. Um, there were scammers there, but they were doing a little bit different. They were doing the Yahoo chats. They were asking for money. They were, doing different things. As people grow closer, globally, and there's more technology, there's more apps, there's more stuff. Yes, you're going to get a ton of scammers that are evolving. It's going to be a new era. I think most crimes nowadays are online. Yes, you still get robbed at gunpoint at the grocery store, or you get, robbed in a parking lot. You get carjacked, yes. But the majority of people getting money nowadays are doing it through online fraud, and it's huge. And enough people don't talk about it enough to make it prevalent. We talk about a lot of bad things that happen with like, you know, shootings and horrible things like that in the United States, but we don't talk about fraud enough. And so, yeah, definitely, it's a new era. We have new technology, we have new apps, we have new untraceable currency. It's going to keep happening, unfortunately. Next question was, what are some methods a person can take when buying off of Facebook Marketplace? Facebook Marketplace is, if you've ever sold or bought anything off of there, and I sell stuff on there sometimes, it can be a horrible experience. Like, you will get the weirdest people, you will get the weirdest things. Um, with Facebook Marketplace, what I recommend, don't do online PayPal, don't do Venmo, don't do any of those transfers. Tell them you will meet in person, meet in a public space, meet at a police station. Like my police station in town actually has a little section in front for online purchasing. So you can meet the person in front of the police department. Be smart about it. Don't take online payments, don't take checks, don't take Cash App. Do it straight, old-fashioned way, cash in hand in a public space. That's the best thing you can do. Don't play with people who say they can mail you a check. Don't even go for any of that. Or if you're selling an item for $100 and the person says, "I'll give you 500 for it," it's a scam. Just block them. Block them. Beverly, why would they keep asking for a cell? Can't they get their own? They want to be put on your phone plan so they can get a SIM card and they can get a different number than Nigeria or Ghana. Um, Places like Ghana, phones are cheap. If you've ever been to Ghana, and we've had friends that have gone to Ghana, you can buy a pretty decent phone for American equivalent of $10, $20 for a cheap smartphone. But in Nigeria, it's a little bit harder, a little bit more expensive. They have to buy their phone time. So scammers will want you to either put them on your Verizon or your T-Mobile account, and they will take that money, or they'll charge money on it. They'll say, "Oh, I want to order an iPhone." They order iPhones. They have it shipped to themselves, and they use your phone plan and use your account to get a phone. So, um, if someone's wanting a phone or wanting you to buy a phone and ship it to them or ship it to someone else in the States, it's going to be a scammer. They're just trying to get something for nothing. Never send anybody a phone, or never allow anybody to get access to your Verizon or your T-Mobile account, because they will add themselves and they'll order themselves 5 iPhones, and you'll be responsible because legally you gave them access to the account. We had a victim, unfortunately, a couple weeks ago that openly gave a fake profile. She didn't know it was fake, but gave him her Verizon password and her Verizon account number. He logged in. He ordered 6 brand new iPhones, thousands and thousands of dollars. I think her bill was like $7,000. He had them shipped to somebody in Florida who was also another victim, and then that victim shipped them over to Nigeria. T-Mobile or Verizon, whoever it was, told her she was responsible for the bill because she let that person have access. So never, never, ever do that. What's the best way to verify a cell phone number to make sure they are who they say they are? So I'm going to tell you, and Anna will agree with me, do not use a phone search page. Do not use, you know, uh, any of the phone search pages, because when you do that, um, I'll give you an example. My phone number from 10 years ago still is registered to me, even though I haven't had that number for 10 years. So the best thing you can do is, if you have to, we can check numbers for you because we have a system we use to check them for free. If you're going to check a number, you're in the States, do star 67, dial the number, see what comes up. If you get a message that says this Google Voice person is not available, or the Text Now subscriber you've called is currently unavailable, or you get a message that says, really quickly, the person is not here, leave a message. It usually means it's call 8, which is another free voicemail app. There's several of them. That's the best way to tell. But if you throw a phone number into search, it might bring up the person who owned it 2 or 3 years ago. We've had victims that have said, "Oh, I found the man in the stolen photo. His phone number came back to a guy named Bob in Mississippi." And we're like, "No, that was probably Bob's number 3 years ago." So, but yeah, if you have numbers you'd like us, we can check for you. And we can see where they come from as well, and call them and see who we get without you risking a scammer getting your phone number. Because sometimes when you call these free phone number apps, they get your phone number and name and information. So, but yeah. So another question someone asked. I'm trying to get through this. We had quite a few. What's the purpose of filing a police report when it comes to scams? It's a fair enough question. So a lot of people will say to us, you know what, I was the victim of a scam. Um, I filed a police report, they did nothing. It's still good to file a police report. I'll give you an example. We had a lady a couple years ago who lost, I think it was close to $200,000 to a scammer. The police did nothing. They did nothing. But they filed a report. And they said, we can't arrest the scammer. There's nothing we can do, but they filed a report. The report went through, and then almost, I think, a year later, she got information that her scammer had been arrested. He had actually been extradited to the U.S., and she was part of a class action suit against this particular scammer. So it helps to file reports because, you know, that information can go into a database, and the FBI will get it, and they'll have information. You never know what it might lead to. It might lead to you unknowingly had been involved with a large network of scammers who might get arrested. So it's always best to file a report. Even if it goes nowhere and you feel frustrated, still file the report and have a paper trail. So, I'm sorry the video is glitching for some of you. I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, my end is clear, so I apologize for that. And again, like, we'll do another Q&A too if it doesn't work well for you as well. Do you think it's possible for a scammer to change? That's a great question, and actually someone asked that question. It's one of my questions. So, do I think it's possible for a scammer to change? I'm going to read off a question someone wrote to me, and then I'm going to answer your question because it was very similar. So a lady had wrote in, and she said, I met a man online who was using stolen pics of Dr. Samadi. We were in a year-long relationship, and yes, I sent him Apple iTunes cards and money. When it came time to meet, and I guess his end of the scam, he confessed to me. He said he couldn't live without me. He was afraid. He video chatted to me and showed himself. We are now in an online relationship. He is from Nigeria. He's not asked me for money since confessing, and I love him. What danger do you see in this? Do you think love can change a scammer and make him stop? No. The fantasy is nice. It's like thinking about how your love could change a person who is destitute. That's a great fantasy. It's a great storyline for a movie. The reality is, if he's not asking you for money, he's getting it from somewhere else. I don't think scammers can change. I think they scam you as themselves. What they do is a lot of scammers will scam you with a fake profile, and then when it comes down to they're at the end of their rope, they can't go anywhere with the story anymore. Some confess. Most block you, but some will confess. And what they do is, this is a typical thing that they do. They say, I'm so sorry, I've never scammed before. They say, I'm afraid you wouldn't like me because I'm an African, because of my skin color. They'll say, I was afraid of you. I'm afraid you'll call the police. I really love you. Your love changed me. I was going to scam you, but as I got to know you, I fell in love with you. I want to be with you. You're my queen, blah, 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 blah. And unfortunately, there's women and men that fall for this. And what happens is the scammer will evolve this real relationship using their real photos. They'll video chat with you and say, I'm so poor, I scammed because I had no food. And the reality is, they're still scamming. They're scamming you as themselves, and they're scamming 5 other women with a fake profile. I don't think scammers can change. I mean, look, if there's 100 scammers in a room, maybe one of them might stop scamming because they feel guilty. But the large majority of them don't, and a lot of them laugh. They laugh when victims commit suicide. They laugh at you and call you a mugu because you gave money. They think you're a fool. So, you know, no, I don't think they can change. I think that they can lie very well. We've had scammers confess to Betty, our fake lady, and they've said, "I'm so poor. I only scammed because I'm hungry. Boo hoo. I love you. I want to be with you. I'll be your man. I'm a strong African. I'm going to love you like no other." Blah, blah, blah. We had one do that, and he talked to us for like 3 hours saying how poor he was, how he had no money, he had nothing. We found his real Facebook profile. He drove a Range Rover and had like $30,000 in cash sitting on his nightstand. He wasn't poor. He wasn't hungry. He was a hardcore scammer. So no, I don't think they can change. I think you have to be cautious of all people, especially if they're using a fake profile and then they confess to you, because it's typical. We've had victims come to us and say, "Oh my God, my scammer confessed. I've never seen this before." And I just turn around and go, "We see it at least once a week with a victim." And we've had victims fall in love with a scammer and then get scammed. So, no, block them. I don't mess with them. I don't want to know them, and I don't believe they can change. I believe they just lie really well, and that's what their job is. Their job is to lie to you straight out. Uh, okay, we're trying to get through all these questions real quick. Um, Next question. I was scammed, and when I found out I blocked my scammer, he's sending me nasty messages, making threats to kill me and do harm to my body. I'm scared and living alone. I live in fear. Will he come here? He has my address. What should I do? I go to the police. Should I be put in a witness protection program? Would they do that for me? No. Look, scammers threaten victims all the time. They send nasty threats. They threaten bodily harm. They threaten to do very nasty things to your body. They threaten to. I mean, some of them are very sick in the head, and they live off the fear. They love the fear. And so, keep a few things in mind. Okay? Scammers like to make threats. They get pleasure in it. It's like they're playing with a puppet. And when you're scared, when you reply to them and say "f you," or when you reply to them and say "leave me alone," or "I'm scared, stop it," they get off on that. They're just hyped up, loving it. Keep in mind a few things. Most scammers, the majority of them, are in countries that they can't leave. They're begging you for iTunes cards the week before, and this week they're threatening to jump on a $3,000 plane ride and fly 15 hours to your house. No. Anna and myself have been threatened by millions of scammers. Nothing's ever happened to us. I've never known a victim in all the years we've been doing this that a scammer had shown up at their door. They've sent threats, they've scared you, but they've never shown up. Don't be scared. Just block them. Block them and block them and block them. Continue ignoring them, and they'll go away. They will, eventually. Some may screw around with you for a couple of months or even a year, but just keep blocking them. They're not going to waste their data, their time on a victim that's not going to respond. But if you respond to them and say, "Stop it, I'm scared," they're going to laugh at you and they're going to keep messing with you. So, take the higher road, ignore them, block them, and move forward. Question: is all scammer black people? Sorry to ask. No, no, they're not. Race has nothing to do with the crime. So here's the thing: scammers come from all over. There's scammers in every country in the world: Australia, New Zealand, U.S., Canada, Mexico, Nigeria. The problem is that a lot of scammers that do particularly romance scams, where they make fake military profiles or fake profiles and try to romance women online, a lot of them do come from West African countries. So yes, their skin color is going to be darker. Um, but that's the reason we have so many from that part of the world, is that's what kind of scams they do. But now if Anna and myself covered something like credit card skimming, we'd have a ton of Eastern European people on there because trust me, and I've been all over Europe. Credit card skimming is one of the biggest types of crimes in Europe, in a lot of countries like the Czech Republic and Germany, and the credit card skimming. So if that's something we covered, then that's what we would have, is a bunch of Eastern European people on our page. But unfortunately, we cover romance scamming, so a lot of them are from West Africa, and like Anne is covering this too. You are helping. Um, it's not the skin color. Like Anne and myself never look at skin color. We don't look at them and go, "Oh, they're that color." We just look at the crime and what they're doing. And unfortunately and sadly, a lot of West Africans do romance scams and fake profiles, and it's just it's just the way it is. But no, scammers come from all over the place, all different nationalities, all different shades of skin color, all everything. Next question. It was an interesting question, and I don't think anyone's ever asked this before. Are you aware of the Black Axe network of scammers? And are you scared of them hunting you down? How big of a role do you think they play in online romance scams? So if you don't know what the Black Axe is, it's a group, it started off as a fraternity in Nigeria, and it has evolved into a network of scammers. And they're all over the globe. They're in Canada, they're in the US. They are all Nigerians, most of them. But they network and they do credit card fraud, they do major scamming, they do romance scamming, they do fake profiles, they do bank fraud, they do all kinds of fraud. They do billions of dollars in fraud. They are a very vicious group of scammers. They're not young kids. They're not the ones that can't spell, can't read, can't write, and write absolutely absurd garbage to you. These scammers are more sophisticated. They hack, they do credit card fraud, they do all these things. Um, I think they do play a huge role in romance scamming. I don't think it's talked about enough. A lot of people don't know who they are. You can Google them, you can find out, learn more about them. But Anna and myself have been threatened by the Black Axe groups before. We've had ones that have sent us pictures of people with their heads cut off and said, "This will be you. I know where you live. I know where you work." I'm still here, and still where she's at. None of us have been harmed. They use fear, they use intimidation, and granted, they probably do go after people to some degree, but I'm not scared. I just, if I had a dollar for every person that threatened to cut my head off on the internet, I'd be a billionaire. So, but they are prevalent. They are a scamming group, and they do it. They do it all the time. They threaten people. They scam people. I don't live in fear. Life is short. I don't live in fear of the Black Axe. If they want to come to my door, come to my door. But I and myself are still going to educate people about scams and how to stay safe. They don't affect us one way or the other because we're going to still help people. But yeah, they're huge, prevalent scammers. They are a problem, and the FBI are aware of them, and they're going to just keep doing what they're doing. But they are global, and I think last year the FBI finally realized how big of a global network and reach they are, and how they are in every single country, almost in the world. So, next question, we have just a couple more, and watching my time because I got to watch Hell's Kitchen. Next question we have is why do scammers not ask for Western Union anymore and use other bank accounts? How do they get bank accounts and info where the money goes to an American bank account? That's a nice question. So back in the day, even up to 4 or 5 years ago, uh, scammers would say, "Dear, send me money via Western Union," and people would do it. Nowadays, Western Union has made it extremely difficult to send money to places like Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, South Africa. They make it harder because of all the scammers. And so I don't even think Western Union at this point will accept money from the U.S. to Nigeria. It's very difficult. There's been a lot of restrictions put in place, same with MoneyGram. So what they've done now is they will find a victim with a fake, they'll use a fake profile, find a victim, ask for that victim's bank information and tell them, "Dear, my commander in the army is going to send you money. Can you please forward it on?" And so they will put money in a victim's bank account, and then that victim will forward it on either in the form of Bitcoin or Cash App. They'll transfer the money some way, and so that's how scammers are getting the money. The new thing now is Bitcoin, of course. Scammers will have you go to a Bitcoin machine or have you drop money into Bitcoin, and so it's basically untraceable. It's hard to get the money back, if not impossible, and that's why they do it. Western Union did have a class action lawsuit, which went through. We've had several victims, Barbara, yourself included, where they got some of their money back from this that they sent. We had one lady in particular. She got 22,000 euro back, which was nearly almost what she sent. And it was sent via Western Union. She got her money back. That class action lawsuit settled, and it was astronomical how much money was returned to some of the victims via Western Union. And that's one of the main reasons now that Western Union does not let people just send money very easily. But so unfortunately, it's evolved to where now they're sending money via Cash App and Bitcoin. Scammers always find a way. So if we shut one door on their money making, they find a different way to get money. They're always going to evolve. They're always going to find a different way. So it just comes down to people not sending money. Don't go to a Bitcoin machine and send Bitcoin. Don't open a Bitcoin account online. Don't do it. It's the only way to stop scammers. Next question. Do you think all scammers are bad people? Have you ever met a scammer who was decent and honestly just scammed for food? Nope. Nope. We had a scammer one time who was young. He was like, I say young because I'm like in my 40s. He was in his like late teens, early 20s. And he told us he was scamming because his sister and him were orphans and they had no money. And I posed a question to him. I said, well, if you don't have money, what kind of phone do you have? And he said, oh, I have an iPhone 10. You know, it was the most expensive one they had. And I said, why don't you sell your iPhone? And he got really angry with me. He told me, F you, I don't want to sell my iPhone. I don't have to. You're just going to give me money. I want money for food. And it turned out he didn't need money for food. He was pretty well off, and his sister that he sent pictures of was actually his girlfriend, and they were professional scammers. So keep in mind that scammers, weave this story to make you believe that they're poor. In all the years, and I've talked to hundreds of scammers, and Ann has talked to hundreds of scammers, I've never met a single one that actually was poor, that was, scamming directly just for food. You have to remember that a lot of scammers, especially in Nigeria, they have the latest iPhones, they have internet access, they have phone access, they have electricity. They're not poor. Internet access is not cheap in Nigeria. It's not unlimited like you think, like in America. Like, I'll give you an example for myself. I have unlimited Wi-Fi and internet for like $60 a month. In Nigeria, you don't have that. So if you're talking to a Nigerian scammer on your phone online, he has access to money. He has access to a way to get it. So no, I've never ever met a scammer who is dirt poor with no food in their belly scamming. Not to say there isn't any out there, but I don't trust anybody that scams that tells me that. Happy birthday, Gene. You're going to be 66 at midnight. Well, I wish you a very, very happy birthday, and I hope that you have a good day because you deserve it, and hopefully you can celebrate in style. Debbie, Nigeria is not a poor country as everyone seems to think. It's not. I mean, it's a corrupt country. Let's put it that way. Nigeria is rich in oil, rich in resources. They're very corrupt. The money lines the pockets of the rich, the politicians, the people like that. Um, what makes Nigeria poor, in some sense, is the corruption. You do have people in Nigeria that are hungry. You do have people that don't have electricity and food and water and clean clothing and that. Well, you have that in every country. But unfortunately, Nigeria, the issue they have there is you have a lot of scammers who have stained the country. No one wants to touch that country with a 10-foot pole as far as doing business. You have, youth that are very educated. They're college educated. They're very smart as far as electronics and computers and software and coding and all this stuff. They have no jobs because there's so much corruption. And so you have all these, educated youth that have used scamming as a way to make money. I don't think Nigeria will ever change. I hope it does, but I don't think it will. I think it's just going to get more and more corrupt and more worse. So, happy birthday to everybody having a birthday soon. I wish everyone has a good birthday and stays healthy and happy. Next question we had. Why are fake profiles and scammers so obsessed with WhatsApp and Hangout? Go to Hangouts, dear. Let's go to Hangouts. And then part two of that question was, do normal people use WhatsApp and Hangouts, or is it all scammers? So I hope you guys can hear me. People are saying they can't. My sound's working, so if this doesn't work well, we'll have to look into some stuff. So let's say you just met somebody online from a dating site, and they say to you, "What's your Hangouts? Let's go to WhatsApp." WhatsApp. You hear WhatsApp all the time. It's probably a scammer. Now, normal people do use WhatsApp. They use Hangouts. I know when I bought my phone, one of the apps that was already installed on there was Hangouts. Um, you know, uh, Here's the thing. Normal people, everyday people like myself, like Ann, we, and you guys, probably do use WhatsApp. It's part of Facebook. You can call friends internationally. You can text. You can video chat. It's a great little app. Same with Hangouts. I mean, you can chat and back and forth. When it becomes an issue is when you're talking to somebody you just met online, just met them on a website, and you just started talking to them. You met them on a dating site, and they say to you, "Hi, dear. What's your name?" So you say it. And they say, "What's your WhatsApp, dear? What's your Hangout? I'm not on this site all the time. Let's talk on Hangouts. Let's talk on WhatsApp." That's when it becomes an issue because scammers will try to lure you off the site and get you onto WhatsApp and Hangouts. The reason for this, they can put all their victims that they've met from all these different dating sites in one location. They can put all the victims they've met on Facebook in one location and have you just on that one app. And if their fake profile gets removed or disappears, they can just tell you, "Oh dear, my page disappeared. It was hacked, but we can just talk on Hangouts or we can just talk on WhatsApp." It's a way to isolate victims to one area. Um, they in Nigeria and Ghana, WhatsApp is about as popular as anything. WhatsApp is used for everything, for business, for chatting, for everything in the world. So it's a very popular app in Nigeria and Ghana. If you're talking to someone you just met online and they want you to go to those apps, see it as a huge red flag. If they tell you that they're not always on the site, if they tell you, all these different things, then it's a scam. And they also use WhatsApp because they can use Wi-Fi to call you, whereas calling you directly would cost them a lot of money, absolutely. Same within Brazil. Certain countries' phone service is really expensive. Like here in the States, it's super cheap. Like I can call U.S., Canada, Mexico, whatever for nothing. I mean, it's super cheap. My phone bill's super cheap. But other countries, it's expensive, and so that's why they want you to use those apps. Same with there's an app called Viber. It's the same way as well. Bill, I've seen a shield on some scammer profile pictures. What is this about? The little shield. So we'll talk about this. On Facebook, there's a shield on a profile pic, and it is a service brought to you by Facebook, and it is meant for people in India. Originally, what it started for was in India, they developed this beta app to put a shield on your Facebook page. It's meant to protect. It was meant to protect women in India from being harassed by men who would go through their Facebook photos and write nasty things. What it evolved from is in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Egypt, and there's one other, I believe Jordan, has this feature. It's the only countries in the world that has this little shield. And what happens is you can't click on the profile photo, you can't steal the photo, you can't save the photo. It was meant as a service protection to women in India, but it turned into scammers use it. So what it comes down to is if you're talking to a man named Bob Smith and he has a shield on his photo, it's more than likely a scammer working out of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, some of the Middle East, Egypt, that part of the world, and they're just using a fake profile, but that's where they're from. People in the U.S., the U.K., Australia, they don't have that shield offered yet, and I don't think it's something that's going to come out for a while. So just keep that in mind if you're talking to somebody online that, they say they're a U.S. soldier, and they have a shield on their profile photo. It's more than likely a scammer from like India or Pakistan. Debbie, I can't uninstall Hangouts from my tablet. Can scammers still access my information? I mean, anyone can access your Hangouts as far as they can message you. It depends. Like if you've given your email address to a scammer and they might share it with other scammers, there's a good chance they could come in and send you messages. It's hard to uninstall Hangouts. I can't uninstall it on my phone, and I've never used it. The best thing you can do is just don't answer anything that comes up on your Hangouts. If you don't know who they are, don't add anybody, and it should be fine. You might get some random ads or messages from people trying to add you, but it's usually, if you just ignore it, they go away type of thing. How does a scammer send you pizza, flowers, and such? I like to eat, so I love the pizza. So here's the thing. If a scammer, if you're talking to a fake profile and they send you a pizza, they send you flowers, they send you chocolates and a teddy bear, do know that that is being bought with a stolen credit card. It's being bought with a victim's money, and they're using stolen cards fraudulently obtained to buy you a pizza. The reason they do that is because they want to try and gain your trust for you to believe that they're legit. And so they'll send you a pizza, and it's actually from somebody's bank account that they've stolen. It's actually coming from a victim. I actually had my credit card about 3 years ago compromised, and someone bought $300 worth of Chinese food, had it sent somewhere in Kansas, and it turned out I did my own investigative work because the police were useless, of course. And I found out where it came from. It went to a lady in Kansas who thought a soldier online sent her a meal. And I explained the whole situation to her and found out it was, she was being scammed, and I was being scammed because someone used my credit card. I got my money back, but, it was very frustrating. The profile pic of our scamming scammers, as Anne said, is was sent to her in 2012. The flowers were sent to her by a scammer. They were purchased with stolen credit cards. So, it's well, it's nice to get free food. Just remember that you're getting it from somebody off of somebody else's hard-earned money that was stolen. As a victim of a crime, unfortunately. And sometimes people get their money back when their credit cards are stolen. Sometimes they don't. So, it's just something to remember. I reported several fake profiles to Facebook. Nothing gets done because they don't violate community standards. So is there any point? No. Honestly, look, it's hard. If you report a profile, sometimes they can get removed. Let's say there's 100 fake profiles. You've reported 100. Maybe 3 will get removed. Facebook doesn't generally, look. It's usually done by a rhythm by a bot. And interestingly enough, Facebook has a community standards um, center in Lagos where they've given jobs to West Africans, and they actually check profiles there. So it's kind of it's tough. If you want to report a profile, you can. We're not against it, but just remember, if you report a lot of profiles, Facebook will also ding you for reporting too many fake profiles. It's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to that. Why do they use female names and tell you it's a memorial? They do that. It could be that the profile that they bought. Some scammers buy profiles, or they obtained, um, was a female's, and so they don't change the name on it just to keep it kind of low under the radar, and they just say, "Oh, it was my dead wife's name," or "Oh, it's my daughter's name." It's just something that they do. This comes down to, and keeping in mind, I just helped somebody in the inbox who their friend was talking to a man who claimed he was from Russia, lives in Virginia, and his name was something like Belinda something or other. See that as a huge red flag. Like if you're talking to somebody online and they're a big buff military soldier and their name is Belinda Cindy, uh, it's a scammer. I mean, how many men in your life have you met named Belinda or named Cindy? So keep that in mind. That's a huge red flag. It's a huge red flag. But scammers do buy profiles. They buy profiles that are 4, 5, 6 years old that other scammers have obtained or hacked or gotten into. They turn around and sell them. And those profiles are often female names, so they just keep them so that Facebook doesn't get a red flag saying, "Oh, you changed your name." Sometimes they'll ding you for that if you change your profile name too many times. So they just keep it as it is, and they'll just tell you, "Oh, it's my wife." The same theory goes for when you're talking to a profile online, and it's the photo, and it's a guy wearing a wedding ring, and you'll notice it, and you'll ask the scammer, the profile, "Why are you wearing a wedding ring?" And they'll say, "Oh, it's a memorial to my dead wife." They find a reason and an excuse, but the reality is it'll be a stolen photo of a married man, and scammers always find an excuse for everything. What do they do with iTunes cards? A couple things. They use them to top up their iPhones. They have iPhones. All the scammers have the latest iPhones. They use them to top them up. They can use apps and music and different things. Most of the scammers sell them. iTunes cards are as good as cash. They can go online and cash them out through PayPal. There's stores online that buy iTunes cards. So let's say they get a $100 iTunes card from a victim, they'll sell it for $85 online and cash it out. They also use them to buy profiles. They'll trade a $100 iTunes card for a verified Facebook profile that someone's selling. There's a lot of uses for them. It's as good as cash. Same with the Steam cards, they cash them in. So, just know that that's just how they operate. Um, iTunes, Steam cards, Amazon cards, In the Amazon gift cards, they actually ask for them and they use them. If you send a, let's put it this way, you send a scammer a $50 Amazon card, he will turn around and buy a $50 ring for a victim that he knows he can get $10,000 from, and he'll mail that ring to a victim and say, here, dear, I bought you a ring. So. London has issues too. I was unfortunately scammed by a man who was in London trying to get his property he had inherited from his parents. He claimed he was being held by his deceased father's former friend. This old man in his 80s held him like a prisoner, hard to believe. He was very convincing. An old woman 22 years older than him. Oh, and she had met him here in his beautiful home in Texas, and he's handsome. Well, she talked me out of $79,000. I feel so ashamed to have this have happened to me. She was a conspirator, obviously. His deceased dad's friend was playing the role of the barrister. Anyway, it was a lesson well learned. He loved me. He wanted to get married to me. Unfortunately, that happens a lot, and it depends. I mean, the scammer could have been in a place like Nigeria and just telling you he was in London, using money mules and victims. It's not uncommon for a scammer to play the role of the person, the barrister. They even have their family members get in and call as the child, and call as the wife, and call as the uncle. It's very, very common, and it happens a lot. And so we'll have victims that'll say to us, oh, he had 7 people. He had a barrister. He had this. And it's one scammer. That's like when scammers will tell you to write to their child, email their child. It's always, always, always the scammer who replies to you as a little child and says, "Oh, you're going to be my mommy and my daddy," and all that stuff. So I mean, it happens quite often. Um, Scammers are like actors. They play a role, and unfortunately, people fall for it, and it's sad. It happens a lot, but it's not uncommon for them to play many, 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 many roles for different people. So, but just keep in mind, at the end of the day, scammers tell scammers always have a story. They have a story for every occasion. They know what you're doing. They know, if you, let's put it this way, if they say to you, they steal like 20 photos of a man, and one of the photos of the man is him holding bananas, like Dr. Pinto. A scammer will write to you and say, "Oh dear, I'm just sitting here chopping some fruit. Here's a photo," and it's a photo. They steal all these photos and then they plan out the story as it goes to try and make themselves look legit. Loneliness makes people blind. Is it really possible someone who is extremely needy? Anyone can fall victim. You know what? I've had people say to me, and Anna's had it as well. People go, "Oh, how can people be so stupid?" Well, people are not stupid. People fall for the scam. I mean, the scammers can be very emotionally manipulative. They can catch you when you're grieving. Let's say, a lot of our victims, unfortunately, are females who, maybe lost their husband. They were feeling lonely. They were feeling needy. They lost a family member. They were feeling depression. They were feeling, even suicidal. And here comes this bright light in this darkness, which is a scammer saying, "I love you, dear. You're beautiful. I want to be with you. I want to spend my life with you, blah, blah, blah." And it fills the void that they were missing. And so that's what happens. It's unfortunate. But they do manipulate. They do take the opportunity, and they see it. If you're talking to a man online and you mention to him, "Oh, I lost my husband a year ago. I'm so lonely." They're going to fill that void. Or if you say, "I lost my child," they're going to fill that void for you. They're going to lift you up so they can rob you blind. That's what they do. Google cards. Yeah, Google Play cards are the same as like iTunes. They cash them in for cash. Any of those cards are. How often does it happen to a guy? Guys get scammed all the time. Um, it's kind of a weird situation. Guys don't come forward to us as often. I've had actually a lot of guys email me personally, like on our email, and say, "Look, I don't want to come forward, but I want to tell you what happened." Um, Guys get scammed as often as women do, but they keep it on the down low. They don't share it as much as ladies do. A lot of ladies will seek out help. Um, they will come to our page and ask for help, and they will say, "Hey, I was a victim of a scam. Can you help me?" Whereas men tend to not say anything and say, "Oh, whatever," and they just move on. It's just kind of how guys are. Like I wouldn't want to say, "Hey, I was romance scammed by a guy, pretending to be a porn chick." So it just depends. But guys get scammed just as much. It's just not talked about. So. And people are naive. People don't know enough about romance scams. It's not talked about enough. It's not brought up enough. So unfortunately, people just they don't talk about it. It's not talked about. It doesn't happen, and it doesn't get out there. I've had 5 Keanu Reeves scammers. Yeah, they love Keanu Reeves. They love John Mayer. They love country artists. They love all sorts of things. If you're talking to somebody online who's a celebrity, you're talking to a scammer. Celebrities don't generally tend to ask you to go to hangouts. They don't have a secret thing that they're doing where they can only talk to you on hangouts and stuff like that. So, if you're online and a celebrity happens to talk to you, it's going to be a scammer forever. So, it's just block them. Don't go to hangouts to talk to Keanu Reeves or Brett Michaels or whoever, because it's not going to be them. It's not going to be them at all. So, that was the last of our questions. Leonardo DiCaprio's, yeah, I've seen quite a few. Actually, my fake profile Betty got George Strait the other day, so she's going to marry George Strait, but he needs some help. And they also scammers do troll music pages. They do troll, pages that are like, I'll give you an example, like Brett Michaels from Poison. Poison is like one of my favorite bands, so I follow his stuff all the time. And there's tons of fake Brett Michaels on his own page saying, hey, talk to me. Gonna PM you and we'll go to Hangouts. It's always gonna be a scammer. All of us love the fantasy of being able to talk to our favorite rock stars or celebrities, but the reality is you're not going to be talking to them. You're going to be talking to a scammer, and so many fall victim to these fake celebrity scammers. I've had quite a few on Words with Friends. Yes, words. I call it Words with Scammers because like a ton of them are Words with Friends. They're on there all the time. Another popular one is Bottled. If you've never been on Bottled, it's a great app. It's fun. Okay, you can go on Bottled, and what you do is it's a little app where you can send a message in a bottle to someone, and then the bottles come up on your shore. And I'll give you an example. This is the Bottled app, and you have a little island that see these are all the bottles people throw to you, and you get all these bottles, and people want to talk to you, and you can decide whether or not you want to message them. The majority of them are scammers. There's so many scammers on Bottled, it's ridiculous. So, but all apps have scammers, no matter what they are. Just keep that in mind. My brother's been sending a woman in the Philippines. I mean, there's tons of scammers in the Philippines. I mean, they're just different kinds of scams. They're romance scams. There's ladies and men in the Philippines that want to come to America, that want money, um, that will talk to men and do sex chat with men and try to keep a relationship with them. It happens all the time. Just, it comes down to if you're in an online relationship with somebody, you've not met them in person, don't send them anything. Don't send them money. Don't send them nothing. Let them work their own problems out, and you'll be better off. And at the end of the day, too, video chat. If someone doesn't video chat with you, and when you're on video chat with them, have them write your name on paper and hold it up. Simple request, or have them wave their right hand or do something, to tell them, to make them do something on camera, so you can make sure that they're legit. So, but if you have any questions and we missed anything, you can come to our inbox. Just inbox us, and we will answer your questions for you. I know we've missed a few just going forward. Facebook dating is horrible. Don't go on Facebook dating. Please don't. I'm on Bottled just as a bait, using baits, and I get like 10 bottles a day, and like 9 of them are fake, and one's like a pervert. So be careful on all sites. Be very cautious. With that being said, if no one has any more questions, if you have questions, you can drop them in our inbox. We'll answer you. I'm going to close this Q&A out for March. We're going to be doing some live streaming on YouTube. I'm not sure when. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Scamming Scammers, you'll get a notification, and we will go live on there. I just wanted to do a quick shout out. I had some really super awesome people. As you know, we have a post office box now for our YouTube channel, and we've had a couple people write us some really nice cards. I had a lovely lady named Belle who sent us a beautiful card. something special for us and a note, and it was very, very well appreciated. The card is actually in my kitchen, sitting on my table. I didn't bring it with me, but um, we opened the PO box because people asked they wanted to send us cards and thank you notes, and we're getting a few thank you cards and things like that. I just want to shout out. There's a guy named Charles who lives in Tyler, Texas. He sent me a package today. Came in the mail, was totally unexpected. He wrote a very, very nice letter stating that he is a veteran and he is paraplegic and he has a caregiver and he listens to our voice chats with as Betty. And he loved him so much that he sent me a very cool Texas Tech baseball cap because I always wear hats when I'm out. And he sent a very nice letter, so it was very much appreciated. And then I just want to do a shout out to Sylvia. She's one of our page regulars on YouTube. She saw that I always wear band shirts, and she sent me a really cool Guns N' Roses hat. They're one of my favorite bands of all time because I grew up in the 80s. So thank you to Sylvia and to Charles and to Belle for the lovely gifts. And we've gotten some cards from some YouTube folks as well. So we really appreciate and thank you for that. If you've not been to our YouTube channel, as I said earlier, we are monetized now. So we're making, a little bit of headway as far as being a verified channel with lots of cool stuff. We're going to be doing some live streaming there, and we're also going to be doing some podcasting in the future. I'm working with getting a podcast going. I've just been super, super, super busy, but we really appreciate you guys, and we thank you for all of your kind words, for your thoughts and prayers, for all this support that you guys have shown us. So I really appreciate it. So I'm going to close this Q&A out and go ahead and thank you guys. And if you have any questions, you can inbox us. And if you don't have Facebook, because I'm going to upload this to YouTube, you can email us, scammingscammers@gmail.com. We don't get to our email all the time. Be a few days, but I will answer you. So thanks everyone for coming tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll see you guys in April for our next Q&A. Thank you again for your thoughts and prayers, and I hope you guys stay safe, stay well, do what you need to do, and take care of yourself. Don't give money to people you've never met. So thanks again. Love you guys, and we'll see you next month. Bye.